Hi, welcome to Jet Radio. I'm Ted Shire, your host, and with me today is Dr. Richard Deming. He is the head of the Mercy Cancer Program, and he is also the founder of Above and Beyond Cancer. Welcome.
Thank you.
And in a few moments, after some introductory remarks, we will have Dr. Deming introduce himself, his work, and Above and Beyond Cancer. So this show is dedicated to community service as a means of sustainability, and that is all about everyone doing their part to better the community. The more people are involved in the community, the more sustainable it will be. And just some recent information here with relevance to our topic today. The U.S. This year is expected to approach 20% of GDP in healthcare spending, and that's more than any other nation. It's been that way for several years now. And so there's things about that we can address from a sustainability standpoint. And one of those is preventative healthcare. And there's also issues in terms of discouraging some types of cost reduction when it comes to treatment. And so those are things that can be addressed from a sustainability standpoint. The current reality is that governments have taken over a lot of responsibility for individual needs, and that has not always had the best track record, as we learned from some of the past decades. However, if community is incorporated into assistance, it works a lot better. And it's more sustainable because helping others helps us. So some of the background material that we discuss is from Everyone Needs Sustainability, a book about the different types of sustainability that I authored, including personal, community, financial, and environmental sustainability, and how those interact. And it also explains community service as a means of sustainability. So this week's focus is preventative healthcare, and we're going to get into the difference that wellness and volunteers can make in that. The call-in number is 515-244-0077. And Dr. Deming, welcome.
Thank you.
And could you introduce yourself and your work and Above and Beyond Cancer?
Sure, happy to do so. I'm Dick Deming. I'm medical director at Mercy Cancer Center, and I've been a cancer doc for 35 years. I've been in Des Moines for 26 years, and over the course of my time being able to be on the team taking care of cancer patients, I have learned a lot about life, a lot about cancer, but also a lot about wellness. And people maybe wonder about the relationship between health, wellness, and cancer. When you describe yourself as a cancer physician, people automatically think about just the treatment of cancer. But when you look at what cancer represents, so 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. Cancer causes the premature death of more people in the United States than any other disease. When you look at the continuum of what cancer care is and what taking care of a cancer is all about, it really starts with prevention. When you're talking about a disease that 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will face in their lifetime, the conversation about prevention with the general population before a cancer diagnosis happens is paramount. So the continuum starts with prevention, and then the next step would be early detection, so that we know that some people are at higher risk for certain types of cancer. What early detection screenings, for example, mammography for breast cancer, can be done to help detect a cancer at an early stage when it might be more curable. From early detection, we get into the whole the diagnosis of cancer, the staging, what's the type of cancer is it, what's the extent of the cancer, and then what are the treatment options. You then talk about treatment. When someone's undergoing treatment, it's not just about killing the cancer cells. It's about taking care of the whole patient. It's about managing the symptoms. And we can talk about the role of palliative care as a component of cancer treatment. And then after cancer treatment, we're talking about hopefully survivorship. And what are the issues, physical, psychosocial, spiritual issues related to being a cancer survivor? Or for those who aren't cured of cancer, we're talking about a journey that will encompass comfort care and end of life. So the whole continuum of cancer care begins at the very beginning about prevention and ends in cancer survivorship and or end of life concerns.
Sure.
So starting off, going into cancer, my mom was diagnosed with incurable lung cancer when I was a junior in high school. So this was the late 1960s. And although I would say that it wasn't because of that I made the decision to become a cancer doctor, I would say it was more subconscious, and it was, as all of us go through medical training and internship and training, it's sort of probably cancer care found me as much as I found it. But it surely influenced the way that I look at life, look at the processes by which we can be responsible for our own health. My mom was a smoker, and she was born at a time where cigarette smoking, the risks weren't really well known. Both mom and dad smoked. So mom died of lung cancer, dad at age 52, and dad died of coronary artery disease, sudden death at age 52, both smoking-related diseases. When you look today in the United States, tobacco is still the number one cause of cancer in the United States. There'll be 1.6 million new cancers in the United States this year. 1/3 is caused by tobacco. And I suspect that that's not a surprising number to most of your listeners. Almost everyone today knows that tobacco causes cancer. Most people don't know. So I said 1/3 of all cancers in the United States caused by tobacco. 1/3 of all cancers in the United States is caused by that triad of obesity, inactivity, and poor nutrition. And that's a message that most people don't know, that obesity, inactivity, and poor nutrition causes 1/3 of all cancers. So 2/3 basically of all cancers in the United States are preventable. If you could come up with a drug tomorrow that cured 2/3 of cancers, I mean, it would be amazing. But yet 2/3 of all cancers are preventable. And there are some people who believe that we really need to invest as much in preventing cancer as we do in coming up with the next pill to cure cancer.
Sure. How can we not agree with that? If 2/3 are preventable, and the cost is only like 1 to 3% of the total healthcare expenditures, isn't that right?
Yeah. So you're making a point that to cure a cancer after it's developed is a very expensive endeavor. And preventing cancer isn't like totally free because there are public health measures that need to go. If it were only as easy as teaching in kindergarten the concept that you shouldn't smoke, you should eat healthy, exercise, and have a normal body weight. If pretty simple concepts, very simple concepts, but living a life like that obviously has not been easy. When you look at nearly 20% of individuals who smoke, and I think everyone who smokes knows that it's not a healthy habit. You look at the number of obese people, the number of sedentary people, it's not just a matter of imparting knowledge to someone. So what is the best way to advocate and to change public policy to just on those two issues alone to encourage fewer people to start smoking, more people to stop smoking, and to have individuals live lives that are engaged in physical activity, a healthy nutrition, and maintain a normal body weight. And since we're talking about prevention, and cancer is my area of expertise, there's other ways of preventing cancer. Sun causes a lot of cancer. And tanning beds. So I mentioned tanning beds because we were just up at the state capitol. I was with the American Cancer Society for Cancer lobby days. If a young person goes into a tanning bed even once, it increases the risk of developing melanoma in their lifetime by 75% by going to a tanning bed only once. And for regular users of tanning beds, it triples the risk of deadly melanoma in their lifetime. So we're advocating that starting off with that no minor should be allowed to go into a tanning bed. And that's a bill that's in front of the state legislature.
Nice.
Other aspects of preventing cancer, another cause of cancer that people don't think about a lot is infectious disease. Primarily in the United States, HPV, the human papilloma virus. Many people know that the human papilloma virus, HPV, is the cause of cervix cancer in women. Most people don't know that the HPV virus is also the cause of cancer in the throat, tonsil cancer. We're going through now a bit of an epidemic of tonsil cancer related to the HPV virus.
What are the numbers?
You know what? I don't have the number on off the top of my head right now, but the increase in HPV-associated tonsil cancer has been about a doubling of the incidence over the last decade related to the HPV virus. So the same virus that can cause chronic irritation and basically lead to a normal cervix cell developing into cancer, that same process can happen on the cells in the back of the throat. Vaccines to prevent HPV infections help significantly reduce the risk of both cervix cancer and oral pharynx cancer.
Have those numbers been studied in terms of the reduction due to the vaccine?
The reduction in cervix cancer has clearly been studied. The reduction in HPV infections of the oral pharynx, I would say the data is not as mature, that it hasn't been known for as long as cervix cancer. Even when the vaccination came out, it was FDA approved and marketed just for young women. It wasn't even marketed or recommended or promoted for adolescent boys. That has changed now. We recognize that obviously cervix cancer happens only in a woman. Even if HPV only caused cervix cancer, it still would make sense to vaccinate the entire herd. I mean, you don't just vaccinate those who have negative consequences from the virus. You vaccinate both men and women.
So it works after vaccination?
No. So the vaccination is not a treatment for the cancer. What you want to do is to vaccinate individuals before they get exposed to the virus, so that if and when they get exposed to the virus, the vaccination, the immunity will take care of the virus before it populates the cells in the body, and over years causing chronic inflammation and mutations leads to the development of cancer. And the throat cancer can be in men or women. Cervix cancer obviously only happens in women. The HPV virus can also cause cancer of the penis, but that is not as common of a cancer as cervix cancer, and it's also not as common of a cancer as cancer in the back of the throat.
So, you mentioned some of the effort with preventive healthcare at the legislature. Are, were you actually involved in drafting some of the bills, or?
No, not involved in drafting the bills, but in advocating for and helping to try to influence what the bills would look like in its final form. I've had the privilege of being up to the state legislature many years working on different bills that have to do with helping to reduce the burden of cancer, whether we're talking about access to health care and Medicaid expansion, or we're talking about bills that can ensure that patients who have insurance continue to have insurance coverage even if they participate in clinical trials or oral chemotherapy. There's a lot that goes on in the development of a bill in the legislature, and there are lots of amendments that can be presented at various times. So it's really important for all of us to take an active role in public health and in developing good public health policy. Individuals may not know that they have access to their legislators. You can go right up to the state capitol. We go every year with the American Cancer Society for lobby days, and we meet with our legislators, and we talk about bills that are before the legislature and help hopefully make a difference and influence how those bills turn out so that they can have the maximum impact in terms of reducing the risk of cancer.
Sure.
Another topic when we're talking about prevention is radon. Most people know that tobacco is the leading cause of lung cancer and many other types of cancers. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. Here in Iowa, we're on a bit of a radon hotbed. It's a naturally occurring radioactive isotope that comes up through the earth and can accumulate in certain homes, and the accumulation of that radioactive, odorless, invisible gas can increase the risk substantially of lung cancer. Many individuals who have never smoked develop lung cancer, and we think that radon is one of the leading causes of cancer, lung cancer, in individuals who've never smoked.
So, is it possible for individuals to have an impact on content, bill content?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
What can you describe that process?
The process of getting engaged with, well, you can it's public information what bills are listed in the legislature, in the House and the Senate. So that is public knowledge. You can have access to that. You can read those. I would say that if you have a particular topic of interest, for example, cancer, all of the organizations that are involved around particular policy issues have professionals that keep a very close eye on all of that legislation. Who are the champions? Who are submitting the bills? What are the different issues involved? And you can probably be most effective if you're a member of an advocacy sort of organization. So, for example, the American Cancer Society has an advocacy arm, the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, and professionals that have the pulse of what's going on a daily basis. And if you want to become involved in, for example, cancer advocacy, becoming a member of the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network for $10 a year, you will have all the information of what's going on, not only at the state level, but on the national level with bills that are being developed around issues related to cancer. And as a cancer survivor or a cancer caregiver or someone who's just interested, who has personal stories to tell about the impact of cancer on their lives, that can be very profound when you're talking to a legislator and trying to use just your own personal stories to help influence public policy that can save lives. As a cancer doctor, I can hopefully save one life at a time. But being involved in public policy, so if we could raise the cost of a pack of cigarette by $1, do you know how many lives we would save? I mean, how much time does it take for me to save one lung cancer life at a time by treating a patient? The most effective way to get people to not start smoking or to stop smoking is to jack up the price of a pack of cigarettes.
Sure.
So one of the most effective public policy methods to reduce the use of tobacco, which will ultimately save lives, is to increase the tax on cigarettes. And then if you can use that tax money wisely to also invest in tobacco control, it ends up being this ongoing cycle of win-win. So that's one way in which public policy can absolutely reduce death due to cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe when we come back, we can try and apply that to other areas of preventive health care. And, obesity and type 2 diabetes, things like that.
You bet. Obesity, activity, physical activity, yep.
Yeah. We are with Dr. Richard Deming. He is the head of Mercy's Cancer Unit. And when we come back, we will follow up on some of these questions. Thank you for joining us today. Our topic is preventative health care.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Hi, welcome back to Jet Radio. I'm Ted Shire, your host, and with me today is Dr. Richard Deming. He is the director of the Mercy Cancer Center, And when we left off, we were talking about some of the ways that public policy can be implemented in order to address preventable disease. And one of the most effective ways to do that is through tax on tobacco. And I wanted to ask a follow-up question, and that is, how about a tax on the wrong kind of foods?
Yeah, so we started off, Ted, talking about the causes of cancer, and especially cancers that could be prevented. And we talked about 1/3 of all cancers caused by tobacco. But most people don't know that 1/3 of all cancers in the United States is caused by obesity, inactivity, and bad nutrition. If good public health policy to reduce smokers, reduce the number of smokers, people smoking, is to increase the price of a pack of cigarettes, could that same logic be applied to food items that we consider unhealthy?
Pop.
Soda pop. Yeah. And that is being tried. And I would say that I'm not an expert on how effective that is. Let me just say that there are some problems with it. So, for example, there is no healthy use of tobacco. There is no good reason to use tobacco. So tobacco is bad and should be discouraged in every possible way. There are foods that we might consider bad that could, in certain scenarios, have some health benefits. So, for example, if I've got a patient who has just a horrible appetite, losing weight, is affected by the effects of cancer treatment, and we're trying to put weight on, having a high fat, high calorie diet over a short period of time may be beneficial. So if you look at sports drinks, if you just look at what's in there, you go, well, this is, sugar, salt, and water. Drinking a whole bunch of that every day is not a good thing. But there are times in the midst of an Ironman competition where this is a very useful nutrition. And I'm just making the point that nutrition, it's hard to look at most nutritional items as being all bad. Life is about living in moderation, and even the most luscious, fat-containing, sugar-containing cake might be a very meaningful thing to eat at a celebratory event. And should it be viewed as evil as a cigarette? And that's the problem, is that we do consume some foods that, if consumed in moderation, are fine in a diet, whereas a cigarette, there's no way to consume a cigarette in moderation that is in any way part of a healthful regimen. So we're going to have more trouble with figuring out the best way to legislate of consuming of foods. Mm-hmm. But it is true that there are probably some types of products that have less value as a meaningful form of nutrition in a healthy diet, and could taxation, if you will, be a way of reducing the use of certain types of foods that don't seem to have a great deal of nutritional benefit.
Mm-hmm. Have we learned anything from New York City's experiment?
Yeah, so there's two things in New York City that I'm aware of, and one is certain types of fats can't be used in cooking in restaurants, and the limitation of the volume of soda pop that can be sold in an individual container. I don't know whether there's been a study that looks at what has been the beneficial impact, how many lives have been saved by those. I think that they're well intended, and they are the beginning of a conversation about what can health policy look like that can influence the choices that we make in regards to nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Other ways of trying to influence on physical activity, for example. We know that engaging in vigorous physical activity is part of a lifestyle that not only reduces the risk of cancer, it reduces the risk of heart disease, strokes, diabetes, Parkinson's disease. I mean, if I had a pill that did all of those things, you would spend hundreds of dollars a day wanting that. But when I tell you all you have to do is get out of bed and, go to the Y, or you don't even have to go to the Y, just get out and do vigorous physical activity every day. It is so simple, but yet it's not easy. So how do you encourage that? One way to encourage it is, in schools, making sure we don't just eliminate physical activity from all aspects of school, thinking, well, that's not the school's job. Physical activity is a very important thing, and like anything, once you develop the habits, and the more you develop those habits earlier in your life, the better you'll be able to sustain them as you get older. So making sure that physical activity is part of school, making sure that communities have sidewalks and bike trails and safe places to engage in recreation. That's important as well. Not everything, is needs a government law, but there are things that we can do and that communities can do, cities can do, governments can do, that can help promote lifestyles that lead to more physical activity and better nutrition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So why is it that we have a difficult time spending on wellness? I thought that was an excellent point, and because it's obvious, we know that that's true.
Yeah, I would say the concepts, I'm repeating myself a bit, but the concepts are very simple, but human behavior being what it is, they're not easy to put into effect. Cigarette smoking. I think, 99% of individuals who are smoking know that it is not healthy. And I would dare say, at least, I'm just making this up, 90% probably even as a teenager when they pick up their first cigarette know that it's not healthy. But yet, nearly 20% of individuals still smoke. So I think we struggle with knowing how to effectively change human activity when it comes to personal choice. It's more understandable if you got a disease and you got a medicine, you fund the use of that medicine to treat that disease. That's a pretty easy connection. The idea of how are we going to get people to exercise, not smoke, eat healthy, have a normal body weight, we struggle with what's the best way to allow personal freedom, allow individuals the freedom to make bad choices, but yet be responsible for their own health. Where is the balance between personal behavior and personal choices and the responsibility that comes? And often the consequences of bad choices may happen years or decades after the choice. So it's a more removed cause and effect, and it's less well understood how to make that change when it comes to human behavior.
Yeah. No, that's an excellent point. It is a difficult balance, and I've struggled with addiction myself, and those are tough issues to overcome. We need community to overcome those issues, and there's a lot of socially acceptable addiction that's not called addiction. Like overeating. It has very similar characteristics to drug addiction, and so does pornography. But perhaps the balance is workplace wellness, because companies like Meredith have developed very effective workplace wellness programs that have achieved now upwards of over 90% participation. And they do that through involving a lot of the employees as volunteers in the program, making it fun, making it community-oriented, things of that nature. What can you speak to the value of workplace wellness programs?
Yeah, so in terms of behavior modification, you can either accentuate the positive, or you can try to create barriers to avoid bad behaviors. So I think workplace wellness is all about accentuating the positive. It's about encouraging those behaviors that we know improve one's health, improves one's productivity, and essentially optimizes one's wellness and quality of life. So communities are great ways of doing that. By communities, I mean a group of people that you are associated with. And the workplace is a prime example of a community of individuals that are together and having a program that accentuates the positive, that provides time and space to engage in those behaviors that improve physical activity and mental activity, will improve quality of life. They improve productivity. They reduce absenteeism. It not only is a great thing to help individuals be healthier, but ultimately it can have a positive on the company's bottom line, because healthier employees are more productive, are happier, and are more engaged.
Mm-hmm. Do you work with companies on cancer and wellness programs to prevent cancer, things like that?
Mercy does engage with employees around workplace wellness. I would say, in terms of my own personal involvement, I'm a big believer in the YMCA. I'm a member of the YMCA. I also oversee a cancer survivor program at the YMCA Healthy Living Center. Ted, I don't know if you've ever been to the YMCA Healthy Living Center. I mean, all the Ys are great. The YMCA Healthy Living Center is a different concept than the other Ys. It's about medical-directed fitness and wellness. So it's about incorporating the things that can happen in the Y, mind, body, spirit, really intentionally and proactively to help manage diseases, so individuals who already have a diagnosis of a disease, whether it is cancer, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, but also as a means of promoting wellness, which helps prevent disease. So it's about engaging in physical activity. It's about knowing basic facts of nutrition. And it's about engaging in community that is all about the spiritual aspect of how do we live our lives optimally. So the Y embraces all of that, and through my work with, number one, the Cancer Survivorship Program with Above and Beyond Cancer, which also promotes optimal living for individuals that have been touched by cancer, and with the Healthy Living Center, trying to articulate living lifestyles that will ultimately lead to optimal living, which will be the best way to help not only manage chronic diseases that someone may already have, but also prevent future disease.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's real good. I've got definitely have some follow-up questions for you on that one. We can talk more about Above and Beyond Cancer. When we come back, it's time for our next break, but we're with Dr. Richard Deming, and he is the director of the Mercy Cancer Center, and we've been talking about preventative healthcare today, and when we come back, we will address some of the ways that Above and Beyond Cancer has implemented the holistic nature of preventative healthcare. Thanks for joining us today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, welcome back to Jet Radio. I'm Ted Char, your host, and with me today is Dr. Richard Deming. He is the director of the Mercy Cancer Center. And when we left off, we were talking about the YMCA's role in preventive healthcare in a holistic approach. And one of the things that Dr. Deming has been involved with is Above and Beyond Cancer. It's a nonprofit that he started that helps with the holistic aspect of preventive healthcare. And Richard, can you share with us some of your favorite stories about transformation of your cancer patients in terms of before and after they engaged in some of ABC's programs?
You bet. So let me just give a little bit of background. So Above and Beyond Cancer is an organization that's dedicated to elevating the lives of those touched by cancer to create a healthier world. So having been a cancer doc for many, many years, I have seen the growth and transformation of individuals as they've gone through the cancer journey. When you're told, or a loved one is told they have cancer, it's basically like a 2x4 up the side of your head that reminds you in many ways what you already know, that you're going to die someday, and it reminds you what you already know, that you don't know when that's going to happen. And you get together this team, and you embark on the cancer journey with the hope, desire, and expectation of curing the cancer. And in the process, you learn a whole lot about yourself as your priorities change and as you focus. And many cancer survivors have described this as like climbing a mountain. And out of that knowledge of yourself and out of this understanding of kind of courage and confidence that can happen as you go through the journey, I've seen time and again cancer survivors come through the process with this better understanding of what their priorities are, a better understanding of what's important in life, an understanding of how they fit into their world, and a greater sense of generosity and compassion. So in 2011, I had done some mountain climbing, and I'd been to the Himalayas. And in 2011, through a weird set of circumstances and serendipity, and I found myself taking a group of cancer survivors, mostly my own patients, on a trek to Mount Everest Base Camp.
That was the first one?
That was the first one in 2011. Charlie Whitmack was going to be climbing Mount Everest for the second time. His wife was a cancer survivor, and through my cancer survivorship program and the way that his life had been touched with cancer, that came together, and that's how the first event happened. I had been to the Himalayas. I'd been to Nepal. I'd been on a journey up into those mountains, and I knew the power that being out in those mountains and engaging in this physical activity of climbing a mountain, how powerful that could be. I never would have taken a group of my own patients there, though, if it hadn't been for all of this kind of coming together at this point in time. So the individuals that went with us on the journey, the 15 cancer survivors, were not mountain climbers, were individuals who they weren't even sure they were cured of their cancer. Many had had cancer many times and were in some not even in remission, some in remission for the second or third time. They didn't know if they could climb the mountain, but they knew that trying to climb the mountain would be incredibly powerful. It's through facing our difficulties that we really learn what we're capable of. They didn't know if they could climb the mountain, but they knew that trying to climb it would be powerful. So we had a group of cancer survivors aged 28 to 66, men and women, all types of cancer. One individual not only was just a few months out from cancer treatment, but had an artificial hip and had had her colon removed earlier in her life. Another 52-year-old who was just a year out from her cancer journey also had an artificial knee and poor balance and fear of heights. And when you get this group together, day by day, spending 10 days walking up a mountain. How do you get up a mountain? One step at a time. If you can climb one more step, you can make it to the top of the mountain. So the group was about a mind-body-spirit journey that was as much about learning about ourselves as rushing forward and, planting a flag at the top of a mountain. And in that process, I wasn't amazed by the transformation of the lives of those on the journey. But what kind of blew me away was the power that the stories of the individuals climbing the mountain could have on inspiring individuals back home to understand the power of this, reaching above and beyond what you ever think is possible, and only by taking on challenges that you're not even sure you're capable of, especially in the context of being part of a group with a higher purpose, what you can learn about yourself and the rewards that can provide you and what it can teach you about engaging in your community, reaching out to help others. It was just hugely powerful. So we get done with that journey, and we realize that this has the potential to help a lot of other people. We know that it's not necessarily about climbing a mountain. It's about living your life with purpose and passion, with an understanding that embracing the difficulties we face really provide us an opportunity for personal growth and an understanding of how to reach out and help others. The next year, I took a group of cancer survivors and we went to the summit of Kilimanjaro. So it was 19 cancer survivors, included a 70-year-old gentleman with active cancer, 2 artificial knees and an artificial hip, who makes it to the summit of Kilimanjaro. A 65-year-old farmer's wife who was just 1 year out from chemotherapy, who had never been hiking or stayed in a tent, makes it to the summit of Kilimanjaro. A 42-year-old woman with incurable leukemia on chemotherapy makes it to the summit of Kilimanjaro. You have no idea what you're capable of. These journeys provide the opportunity in the context of immersing ourselves in another culture, whether it's Nepal or Africa or last year Peru, to allow you to see yourself through the eyes of another culture, to come together in a situation where you're in the wilderness, present in nature, free of personal belongings and stuff, on a journey that is difficult. And what you can learn about yourself in that setting is just amazing. And those are the things that we try to embrace and then come back home. And as I told the individuals, I remember that very first time when we got back from Nepal and we're standing at the top of the escalator getting ready to descend back to the lobby of the airport in Des Moines. And we all knew we'd had just an amazing time, and it was emotions were on the surface. You know, we had all experienced physical difficulties and sickness, and we'd lost tons of weight, but we were on this emotional high because of this bonding experience we had. I remember before descending the escalator saying to everyone, you know, we will over time figure out what this journey meant to us, but I hope that each individual, before descending the escalator and entering life again, can find the Sherpa within each of themselves to make sure that they use whatever they have learned to reach out and help others on their journeys through life. And that's probably as important a lesson that anyone who goes through difficulty, whether it is, you know, the mountain called cancer, or it's a mountain we intentionally plop in front of ourselves to go over, it's learning about ourselves through the adversity we face, and then from that wisdom reaching out to help others on their journey.
Yeah. So did you think about starting Above and Beyond Cancer before the first trip, or was the first trip where everything came into?
I had a deep sense, personal understanding of the importance of vigorous physical activity, about being in nature, and about living a life of purpose and passion from my own personal, you know, viewpoint of philosophy. And certainly those were components of the cancer survivorship program that I had. The idea of actually taking individuals halfway around the world to journey up, you know, to 18, 20,000 feet, that was kind of serendipity, how that all came together. Mm-hmm. I wasn't surprised by the impact of the trip, but I don't know that I would have dreamed that big if it weren't for the association that happened at the very beginning with Charlie Whitmack, who was embarked on this journey to climb Mount Everest for the second time.
Well, no, that's an important theme. So personal transformation to the beginning of an organization. That's that's a powerful theme that we see for a number of very important organizations.
And what we all realize is that for one individual to climb to the summit of Kilimanjaro, I mean, another individual walking around Gray's Lake may be more challenging for them. So it's not just about taking individuals who, even through difficulty, can make it to the top of a mountain. It's about encouraging each and every individual to reach above and beyond what they think is possible. The cancer survivorship program that we have at the YMCA Healthy Living Center, I teach a spin class. I've had 85-year-old individuals with incurable prostate cancer, breast cancer, that come to class. One couple, beautiful couple, they're each in their mid-80s. They each had incurable cancer. They would come and sit in the back row and participate in spin class. I had one individual, Ginny, who developed incurable lung cancer. She was in her late 70s. She would come every week to class. Her disease progressed. She went into hospice for end-of-life care. She got a little bit better. She went back home again. She came to the Cancer Survivorship Program, came to spin class with her oxygen, having been in hospice the previous week, and participates in spin class. So when somebody tells me, oh, Dr. Deming, I couldn't do spin class, I said, let me tell you about Ginny. and then you tell me, I mean, when anybody says, I can't do this, we don't know what we're capable of. And we will never know what we're capable of unless we reach above and beyond what we think we're capable of.
Yeah. So can you summarize the effect of that personal transformation on identity for the patients?
Half of the individuals that go are cancer survivors, mean they've had or have a diagnosis of cancer, and half we are caregivers, individuals who haven't been diagnosed with cancer. And I would say it's not so much the transformation of the identity of a patient, it's about learning how to live your life optimally. And cancer can be a big teacher. And one of the teaching points of cancer is, again, we learn viscerally what it feels like to face our own mortality. And ultimately, we're all in that boat. I like to say, if diamonds were as plentiful as grains of sand, they'd be worthless. If we live forever, wasting a day of our life would be trivial. But it's the fact that our days are numbered, whether because of cancer or just because of the human condition. That is what should appropriately motivate someone to grasp today as a sacred time and to live it to the fullest. I mean, ultimately, we have two opportunities in life. We can either, go into the bedroom and pull the covers over our head and just wait until we die, or we can live each day to the fullest. And cancer has the ability to teach all of us, the value of living our life to the fullest. And many individuals, as they come through the cancer journey, feel this overwhelming sense of having a second opportunity to live the life they would like to live.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you balance the issue there? So yeah, we can, I think, we can all connect with the experiences that we've either seen or had ourselves, where you're kind of like that. Isaiah 40 says you're running with wings like eagles. You're in terms of living life to its fullest. You have the energy to do that. How do you balance that when there's issues in a person's life that actually add some weight to that journey? You're
Sure.
fighting cancer.
It's those things that add weight to the journey that make life worth living. I mean, it's the difficult times that teach us what we're about and ultimately provide us the greatest sense of reward. I would say one of the answers to this question, if you kind of extrapolate, it's being mindful of each and every moment. How do you live, a life? How do you live a day? How do you live a moment? And it's about being present in each and every moment. In the sense of a quiet reflection, you might call that mindfulness. In the sense of climbing a vertical wall, you might call it flow, where you're engaged in an activity that you just are so mindful of that everything else goes away. And so a concept of how do you bring it down to the moment, it's the more often that you can be mindful of what you're doing, whether it's engaging in a radio conversation or taking care of a patient or sitting and doing your taxes, the more you're mindful of what you're doing, the more you will engage in a way of living your life that ultimately will have the best potential for being an optimal life. And I think you also have to bring into it compassion and generosity and concern, not just for being narrowly focused on what am I doing, but being part of a community that brings others along with you toward a path of optimal living.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding. Unfortunately, we are actually a little bit over time. We've had such a flow here that we went over. So I'm really glad that you came by. Thank you so much for your input today.
Thanks, Ted.
Yep, we've had Dr. Richard Deming on the show today talking about preventive health care and the transformational experiences some of his cancer patients have been through with Above and Beyond Cancer. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back to talk about more sustainability issues next time on Jet Radio.